Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Welcome, everyone. This is a special event conducted in Twinehard, California, in the Sierra Nevada mountains. We're having some satsanga, or devotee association, and several questions have been raised by different devotees in the recent past. One of these questions deals, why is there dissension or discord sometime amongst devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement? Now, why do I want to discuss this? First of all, we offer our respectful obeisances to all Vaishnavas, even Vaishnavas with whom we may have philosophical differences. Our aim is not to offend anyone, not to blaspheme anyone, but there are genuine misunderstandings in the community of Vaishnavas, specifically among different groups of followers of Srila Prabhupada. I'm referring to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. First, what I'm going to do is read from a section of the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which explained the issue of why there is dissension. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 35. Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 35. Kvachin mitu vyavaharan yat kinchid dhanam upayati vitta shatyena. Sometimes conditioned souls exchange money, but in due course of time, enmity arises because of cheating. Although there may be a tiny profit, the conditioned souls cease to be friends and become enemies. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:5-8, Pumshastriyamitu nibhavamitam Tayor mitiridaya granti mahu atugriya kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyamaham mameti. The monkey-like conditioned soul first becomes attached to sex, and when intercourse actually takes place, he becomes more attached. He then requires some material comforts, apartments, house, food, friends, wealth, and so on. In order to acquire these things, he has to cheat others, and this creates enmity even amongst the most intimate friends. Sometimes this enmity is created between the conditioned soul and the father or spiritual master. Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulative principles, one may perform mischievous acts even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. We therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulative principles. Otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension amongst its members. Those who are serious about pushing forward the Krishna consciousness movement should remember this and strictly follow the regulative principles so that their minds will not be disturbed. So here we have an explanation, very clear explanation from Srila Prabhupada as to the root cause of dissension, not following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness. Now, all devotees know the various regulative principles: no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no mental speculation, no intoxication. When I first became acquainted with the devotees in Montreal, Canada in 1969, one devotee named Prabhupada'S. He explained to me one time I was in the kitchen cleaning some rice. So he told me you clean the rice 3 times and then you empty the water, make sure the rice doesn't spill. So I did that. Unfortunately, a few grains of rice spilled in the sink. So I tried to push the rice down the sink. He says, no, you can't do that. He says, Prabhupada said, Swamiji said that everything belongs to Krishna. Even the smallest grain of rice should be preserved, should be washed again, put back in the pot. He says, what we do in Krishna consciousness, we do not speculate. Everything we do is based on the instruction and the teachings of the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, when Prabhupada says no gambling, that also includes no mental speculation. One cannot invent or manufacture his own way of applying Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important point. In another conversation, Srila Prabhupada explains, because many devotees also ask, well, what happened after the Acharya disappears? Did Prabhupada give any kind of warnings? Did Srila Prabhupada ever give any kind of instructions of what will be likely to happen or what could happen upon his departure from the world? Srila Prabhupada explains nicely based on the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is quoted from Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 48. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 48. Uttishta uttichara jarishe imam udhadi mekalam dasyubhyaha ksatra bandhubhyo bibhyatim patum harasi. O best of kings, please get up. Get up. Just see this world surrounded by water and infested by rogues and so-called kings. This world is very much afraid, and it is your duty to protect her. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Whenever an Acharya comes, following the superior orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative, he establishes the principles of religion, as enunciated in Bhagavad Gita. Religion means abiding by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious principles begin from the time one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the Acharya's duty to spread a bona fide religious system and induce everyone to bow down before the Supreme Lord. One executes the religious principles by rendering devotional service, specifically the 9 items like hearing, chanting, and remembering. Unfortunately, when the Acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles in the name of so-called swamis, yogis, philanthropists, welfare workers, and so on. Actually, human life is meant for executing the orders of the Supreme Lord, and this is stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eveshyasi yuktvevam matmanam matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me and become my devotee. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, you will surely come to me. The main business of human society is to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at all times, to become his devotees, to worship the Supreme Lord, and to bow down before him. The Acharya, the authorized representative of the Supreme Lord, establishes these principles. But when he disappears, things once again become disordered. The perfect disciples of the Acharya try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master. At the present moment, practically, the entire world is afraid of rogues and non-devotees. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is started to save the world from irreligious principles. Everyone should cooperate with this movement in order to bring actual peace and happiness in the world. So this is a very important point. This explains one of the topics we're discussing today, whether or not Srila Prabhupada had ever given instructions or advance warnings on what was likely to come after his disappearance. And it's very clear, based on the history that we've all experienced since 1977, of what can happen and what does happen if one neglects the instruction of the spiritual master. This is a very important point. Next, we're going to discuss a letter which Srila Prabhupada wrote the issue comes up, the topic, what is the disciplic succession? How does the disciplic succession continues? And how is it that occasionally, such as it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter, that occasionally the disciplic succession becomes broken? What does Srila Prabhupada say about these issues? Prabhupada explains in a conversation in a morning walk in New Delhi, India on September 2nd, 1976, devotee, 5,000 years back until now, there's only 30 acharyas? Srila Prabhupada. Chain is broken when there are false spiritual masters. Otherwise, it is not broken. Chain is broken if a so-called spiritual master speaks something manufactured. Then the chain is broken. Otherwise, chain is not broken. Now, this is a very important point, which every follower, or sincere follower, or serious follower should know, that if one follows properly, without concoction, without manufacture, without crazy misinterpretations, then there can be progress. And Prabhupada explains here that the chain is broken if a so-called spiritual master speaks something manufactured. In another conversation, on March 9th, 1974 in Mayapur, West Bengal, India, Srila Prabhupada also describes the topic. Srila Prabhupada, well, everyone is in a bona fide disciplic succession, provided he keeps that tradition. Keeps that tradition. One must behave that I belong to this disciplic succession. I must keep myself fit for the post. Then it is all right. If he deviates, then he deviates the disciplic succession. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says frankly that this is disciplic succession. Just carry out my order. Then you are in disciplic succession. If you do not keep yourself in the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then simply by becoming disciple, you are not in the disciplic succession. This is disciplic succession. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this clearly. Whomever you meet, you only speak what Krishna has instructed. Then you are in disciplic succession. It doesn't matter what you are, where you are. It does not matter. This is disciplic succession. And if you think now I'm initiated, I'm now liberated, I have no other business, then you are not in the disciplic succession. You must preach. That is disciplic succession. So Srila Prabhupada again is making a very important point. It's one thing to claim to be in the disciplic succession of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or claiming to represent Prabhupada, but Prabhupada is saying here, if he deviates, then he deviates the disciplic succession. This is a very important point. In another conversation, this is an August 1967 letter from Srila Prabhupada. Your appreciation of my spiritual master is very commendable. One who understands and appreciates the disciplic succession is certainly advanced, and we should always be very careful to give full respect to those who have so carefully handled this divine fruit of transcendental knowledge before us. Even a slight change will spoil it. That is why I've always been so careful to give you only those things which I have heard from my Guru Maharaj. So this is a very important explanation from Srila Prabhupada about what is the disciplic succession. There is sometimes a misunderstanding by persons with a poor fund of knowledge, often accompanied with a heavy dose of personal motivation, that disciplic succession is simply a fire sacrifice, simply an initiation. No. Prabhupada describes here that to give full respect to those who have so carefully handled this divine fruit of transcendental knowledge before us. What Prabhupada is referring here is all of our Purva Acharyas, our great predecessor spiritual masters. There's another conversation on July 4th, 1974 in Honolulu, Hawaii, USA, where Srila Prabhupada discussed the topics of Shiksha and Diksha Guru. Sudama Maharaj. The question also is there, the authority is the spiritual master. But the via media to the spiritual master, the difference between, like we were discussing in the automobile, of Shiksha and Diksha Guru. Srila Prabhupada. Then so Shiksha and Diksha Guru. A Shiksha Guru who instructs against the instruction of spiritual is not Shiksha Guru. He's a demon. Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru means sometimes a Diksha Guru is not always present. Therefore, one can take learning, instruction from an advanced devotee. This is called the Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru does not mean that he is speaking something against the teachings of the Diksha Guru. He is not a Shiksha Guru, he is a rascal. Women devotee. People are instructing with these sessions, Srila Prabhupada, because that is offense, Gurur Avagnya. First offense is Gurur Avagnya, defying the authority of Guru. This is the first offense. So one who is offensive, how he can make advancement in chanting? He cannot make. Then everything is finished in the beginning. Gurur Avagnya. Everything is there. If one is disobeying the spiritual master, he cannot remain in the pure status of life. He cannot be Shiksha Guru or anything else. He's finished immediately. Guru Avagnya Shruti Shastra Nindanam Nano Baladhi Yasya Hi. You do not study all these things? You become initiated? There are 10 kinds of offenses. Do you have regard for these things or not? You must avoid these 10 kinds of offenses. The first offense is to disobey the orders of Guru. That is the first offense. So if you're offensive, how you can become advanced by chanting? That is also not possible. So Srila Prabhupada is making a very important point about the importance of following the order of the bona fide spiritual master and not to deviate the disciplic succession which has been entrusted. You can stop it for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to keep running, but you can take a break.
Now, another important point, devotees have asked, why is it that we see and we observe that there are different philosophical differences between many devotees of Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada alluded to this in a very important letter on 18th of October 1969, October 18th, 1969. So therefore, the management should be done very cautiously so that everyone is satisfied in their autonomous managing capacity. Of course, the central point is the order of the spiritual master. And I'm very glad that you're trying to give importance to this aspect of management. The difficulty is sometimes things are interpreted in a manner dovetailing one's own sense gratification. I've got this personal experience in my Guru Maharaj's institution. Different godbrothers took the words of Guru Maharaj in different interpretations for sense gratification, and the whole mission disrupted. This is still going on for the last 40 years without any proper settlement. I'm always afraid of this crack, and I'm sure if our aim is to serve Krishna sincerely and the spiritual master simultaneously, that will be our success. That means serve Krishna and the spiritual master simultaneously. That will be our success. That means serve Krishna and the spiritual master simultaneously with equal faith and serious vow. And then success is sure. Yourself, Gargamuni, Brahmananda, and the others are intelligent. You should always deal things so tactfully that people may not fall away. Every living being is important in Krishna conscious service, and we must take all precautions that one may not fall away. So this is a very important point that Prabhupada is raising with the history of the post-1937 Gaudiya Math and the various cracks that manifested in that institution over the issue of who is Acharya, who is successor to Bhaktisiddhanta, how to conduct the mission, how things should be managed. And Prabhupada was not pleased with the dissension that Prabhupada calls a crack. This is very, very important because we see a similar crack that has been manifested in the mission of our Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, by various motivated individuals who interpreted things for their own personal sense gratification. And even when good counsel, good advice was offered to them, they chose to reject it. They're still rejecting it. Srila Prabhupada explains in a letter written in May 16th, this is August 25th, 1970. August 25th, 1970. Prabhupada explains, so there's no comparison with Vyasadeva with any writer or thinker or philosopher. Nobody can estimate the scholarly importance of Srila Vyasadeva. He composed many millions of Sanskrit verses, and we are just trying to receive a fragmental knowledge out of them by our tiny efforts only. Srila Vyasadeva therefore summarized the whole Vedic knowledge in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. which is known as the ripened fruit of the desired tree, known as Vedic knowledge. The ripened fruit is received hand to hand through disciplic succession, and anyone who does this work in disciplic succession from Srila Vyasadeva is considered as representative of Vyasadeva, and as such, the bona fide spiritual master's appearance day is worshipped as Vyasa Puja. Not only that, the exalted seat on which the spiritual master sits is also called the Vyas Asana. In the Mayavadi Sampradaya, they observe the Guru Purnima day to offer respect to the spiritual master. This system of offering respect to the spiritual master is current in all sections of Vedic followers. But so far the Gaudiya Sampradaya is concerned, we offer on the appearance day of the spiritual master our humble homage annually, and this particular auspicious moment is called Vyasa Puja. Prabhupada continues, yes, this attitude of surrendering to the spiritual master is the best qualification of spreading this movement of Lord Chaitanya. That is the Vedic way. One should have unflinching faith in Krishna and similarly in the spiritual master. That is the way of understanding the secret of Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, attempt has been made lately in our society to shake this formula. This mischievous attempt has done a great harm, but if you, the members of the governing body commission, can rectify this mischievous attempt, then still there is hope of making our progress uninterruptedly. I hope Krishna will help us. There are 2 verses in the Chanakya Sloka how a family or an institution can be glorified or burnt into ashes by one person. The Chanakya Pandit says that if there is one tree in the forest producing nice aromatic flower, then one tree can glorify the whole forest by the flavor of its flower. Similarly, if there is one tree in whose cavity there is a little fire, that one tree can burn into ashes the whole forest. So this simile is applicable anywhere. In a family, if there is one good boy, he can glorify the whole family, and similarly, if there is a bad boy, he can turn the whole family into ashes. Similarly, in this institution, if there is a bad disciple, he can burn the whole institution into ashes. The governing body's commission's duty is therefore to see that every member is following the rules and regulations and chanting 16 rounds regularly on their beads. I hope the GBC, in cooperation with the sannyasis in their touring program, will be able to keep vigilance systematically in order to keep the society as pure as possible. Now, this is a very important instruction. Srila Prabhupada is giving guidelines about potential problems if we allow misguided individuals or motivated individuals to burn the whole society to ashes or mislead other devotees. Very important point. Srila Prabhupada has given many instructions about how to associate with the spiritual master. I've often related the story how in 1970, in July in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada established the direction of management and he formed the GBC, the Governing Body Commission of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I was a brahmachari at the time, and I had a conversation with one of Srila Prabhupada's servants. And I asked this personal servant, I says, well, we know what a temple president is supposed to do. with a treasurer, with a secretary, with a Sankirtan leader. But what is a GBC? What is this for? What is their function? And he explained that Prabhupada wanted to form this as he's advanced in age, and he wanted to form an association of senior disciples to continue his teachings. He wanted to make sure that his teachings are not compromised in any way, that the purity and essential purity of his teachings is carried on even after his departure. That is one of the foremost duty of the GBC. So, in the current context of the various controversies surrounding the movement, this is a very important instruction. In this context, I wanted to read on this topic of how to associate with the bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. This is from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 31, text 48. It is explained, Samyak darshanaya buddhya yoga vairagya yuktaya maya virachite loke charanyasya kalivaram. Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus, one can be unconcerned with this material world. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. It is sometimes misunderstood that if one has to associate with person engaged in devotional service, he will not be able to solve the economic problem. To answer this argument, it is described here that one has to associate with liberated persons not directly, physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life. It is stated here, Samyag darshanaya buddhya. One has to see perfectly, and by intelligence and yogic practice, one has to renounce this world. That renunciation can be achieved by the process recommended in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The devotee's intelligence is always in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His attitude towards the material existence is one of detachment, for he knows perfectly well that this material world is a creation of illusory energy. Realizing himself to be part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, the devotee discharges his devotional service and is completely aloof from material action and reaction. Thus, at the end, he gives up his material body or the material energy, and as pure soul, he enters the kingdom of God. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, text number 48. There's an important conversation with regards to the famous verse of Bhagavad Gita, Evam Parampara Praptam. This is found in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 2. Srila Prabhupada explains, a guest is asking Srila Prabhupada a question. Have you tried to compare with Gita written by Gyaneshwar or by Vinoda Bhavi or by somebody else? Srila Prabhupada, according to Bhagavad Gita, if you don't follow the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, you may be a very learned scholar. Whatever you write, it is lost. We follow that principle. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayu viduhu, Bhagavad Gita 4:2. Find out this fourth chapter. Guest, have these books been reviewed in foreign papers? Srila Prabhupada, it is very widely read. Devotee, for example, in the fourth chapter, Lord Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam raja rishayu viduhu. Sakalineha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna says that this Bhagavad Gita has to be received by the disciplic succession in Sakalina Yogo Nashta Parantapa, because that disciplic succession is now broken. That yoga system is now lost. So all these interpreters, they're interpreting in their own way. Therefore, it is lost. So there is no use of consulting this lost version. Guests. So you just give it as it is? Prabhupada, that is. Therefore, my Bhagavad Gita is named Bhagavad Gita as it is. No interpretation. Devotee. Each word is the original Sanskrit sloka, English transliteration, word for word meaning, so there is no room for manipulation. There is a translation and purport. Every book that Srila Prabhupada has written has the same format, and each book is illustrated. Guest, do you believe that the Gita should be followed as it is or interpretation? Srila Prabhupada, yes, yes. If you read somebody's book, you must read the author's version. Why should you bring interpretation? That is, you have no business. If you want to say something of your philosophy, you can say, but why do you take Bhagavad Gita and give your own interpretation? That is very bad. Guest, but can you not apply your own philosophy? Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, why? Why should you? If you take Bhagavad Gita, you should speak what Bhagavad Gita is saying. An interpretation is required when the thing is not understood clearly. There you get interpretation. Unnecessarily. Why should you interpret Bhagavad Gita? You have no right. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samayveta Yuyutsavaha. Bhagavad Gita 1:1. So anyone can understand there is a place, Kurukshetra still. Why should you interpret? Kurukshetra means this body and this and that. Why? What is this necessity? What is the necessity? Do you think there is necessity? Yes, but just as Srila Prabhupada, no. First of all, let us settle that Bhagavad Gita begins. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavascheva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Bhagavad Gita 1:1. So Mahabharata is the history, and there was battle of Kurukshetra. And that Kurukshetra is mentioned there in the Bhagavad Gita. And it is Dharmakshetra since Vedic age. So the word used, Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra, it is completely understood. Why should you interpret unless you've got a motive? Why a sane man accepts that interpretation? If you've got a different philosophy, you can write your own book. Why should you cheat others, taking Bhagavad Gita and interpreting in your own way? This has spoiled the whole thing. And Krishna says, as soon as you deviate from the disciplic succession system, then it will be lost. So what is the use of reading something which is already lost? If I want to supply you something food, it must be fresh and palatable. Then you'll enjoy. But if it is rotten, decomposed, and if we supply you that foodstuff, what you will enjoy and what you will get benefit out of it. This was a conversation with Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, India, on December 29th, 1976. So this is a very important point of engaging in various speculative misinterpretations. Prabhupada criticized this attempt by various so-called scholars in India, and now we see the same tendency with many followers of Srila Prabhupada interpreting many of his statements with regards to initiation, disciplic succession, continuation of his society. Very important to follow the exact statements and orders of his divine grace. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.